I should just leave it there, right? Okay. It's all right. So we're here to have an interesting conversation with you. If you are listening to us from wherever in the world, you are very much welcome if this is your first time. So listen in as you get to ask questions relating to an issue we will discuss right here, or any other legal matter that has been on your mind for days, for months, for years, and you don't know what to do. This is the right place for you to be, because Barrister Uche is here and can answer your questions. But don't forget, she's human. All right, so today we'll look at debt recovery in Nigeria. Debt recovery. So the whole process of recovering a debt, Abby. All right, so we'll begin first by asking what a debt is, so that we know how to start the recovery process.
Okay, thank you so much. It's good to be by your side again. First of all, before I answer your question, I must say that in human transactions, when human beings relate, when people have one form of interaction or the other, it's quite inevitable at most times to see that you have cost to borrow money, you have cost to lend money, so you have this creditor-debtor relationship at often times. Now, but we also have problems in most of these transactions. Why? Because getting back this money usually is a problem. So you find out that people now have issues, monetary sum. So you don't have items. It sounds very funny. So, wow. But it should be an amount of money that is fixed, that is certain, and that can be calculated. And it should be the subject of agreement between both the creditor and the debtor.
Interesting. So you want me to ask, okay, this is like being very formal and very, coming out from the book, because I was thinking whether I should still ask this, but you've answered it partly, haven't you? What constitutes a debt? Now,
a debt, okay, now for debt to be a debt, there must be a creditor and a debtor. So you don't just have two random people, claiming that you're owing me or you're not owing me. There must be an agreement one way or the other that has given rise to that form of transaction or that form of relationship between the parties. The parties in this case being the creditor and the debtor. Now, there must be an agreement on the debt, whether it is written or unwritten. There must have been a time where they sat down and they came in agreement and they were in consensus as to the fact that, okay, yes, you are giving me money, you're lending me this money, and it is going to be repaid. Now, this sum of money must be stated. It must be, there mustn't be some form of gap as to how much is it that is involved. So if we're talking about 500,000 now, both of us should be in agreement that this sum that is involved is 500,000.
Okay.
So the sum of money should be stated. Now, the legal due date, or the date for which the debt should be repaid, must also be stated. So you have to say, okay, I'm giving you this money, and in 3 months it should be paid back. So that date should be, we should also agree that this date is going to come, a day will come when this money has to be repaid, and that date should be agreed upon by both parties. Also, I must make it known that the court tries to look at the agreement between the parties to establish whether there is actually a debt there. So you don't have, because sometimes we just like you asked, we have various kind of agreements or various kind of transactions that usually are not debtor-creditor relationships, or there's no debt agreement between both parties, and we just assume in our heads that, okay, yes, he's owing me, he's owing me somehow or something.
Interesting. So if I come to you now, Uche, borrow me 50,000 naira, I should get it back to you by the weekend.
Yes.
And you say, okay. Like in a conversation as simple as what I have just said now.
Yes.
Then you get the money and lend it out to me. Is that an agreement?
Yes. Though unwritten.
Okay.
Yes, it's an agreement. It's an agreement.
So to all those people out there who have friends and family members that you like to always go to them and say, come on, give me small this. I'll in the evening, and that evening has never come.
Yeah.
Today. And you think, is he not my brother? Is he not my friend? Can't he or she give me money and forget it? How much is it? It's not just 2,000.
That's like we always say here. That's one of the issues we have in this part of the world. Most
a lot of people have taken advantage of this, and at the end of the day, that's when you start hearing, is it not just 2,000?
But it's important.
In fact, it's because of this and because of that.
It's actually important that you
presented it in a way that I am going to return this money back.
Exactly.
They didn't just come and say, okay, give me, like I want money, or I need,
I'm broke.
Not like that. But they make it look like I'm going to return it, and then they feel they also deserve the right to not return that money, and you should not raise dust.
Exactly. It's common. It's common.
But I'm just trying to remember all the people that owe me right now.
While you're on that, also try to remember all the people you're owing to.
In fact, as a matter of fact, it's the latter that I am really concerned of right now, and not the former. In any case, but these are some of the features.
Now, yes, it's also highly recommended that debt transactions should be done in the presence of witnesses. It's always
their colleagues now. I want to come to you. Want me to call all these staff here and say I want to collect more money from?
But that is the problem. That is where most of those problems emanate from. You know, the law says it's in your interest. It's not like you must, but it's in your interest that
have witnesses.
Yes,
to have it, documented or written.
It's recommended that you have it written down, so that we're able to establish the court. Because of course the court is not always there. When it eventually gets to court, if it will get there, the courts are not always there to say, okay, I was there. This would definitely be what you both parties would have thought of in entering into this kind of agreement. No, what the court would look at is the agreement. So if it is written down, it helps the parties involved to say, okay, yes, this is actually what those people had in mind when they entered into this transaction.
Okay. So let's proceed then, especially considering that we don't have so much time. So, like the topic says, debt recovery in Nigeria. Now, let's look at the channels that are available for this. Now, we know there's this very close one. I mean, if you're related to that, to the person you're taking money from, maybe by blood or just other kind of friendship.
Yeah.
And it gets to that point where it's a huge sum of money that you can't just let go. And eventually you're thinking of taking further actions. What are these channels that you have to follow?
Okay. Before I answer that, I want to say that a lot of times we have a very common practice where people use law enforcement agencies, especially the Nigerian police, to try to...
They should not use them.
To intimidate...
No.
To try to intimidate...
There are this... not crooked. What's this? Sponge debtors. Yeah? Is it? Yeah, debtors. Them. That you have tried. You've almost slept in their house waiting for them to return from work. They will not return. What else? You want to apply some form of force that would push them, make them just pay the money.
It's always important that in trying to recover your money, you do not do anything that would violate the rights of the debtors. Yes, you don't do that, because in trying to do that, the creditor might jeopardize his own interest as well. So it's not the responsibility of the police or any law enforcement agent, for that matter, to get involved in trying to recover debts by trying to probably arrest, detain, intimidate, or force them to sign on the ticket.
So you can't arrest debtors?
No, you can't. You shouldn't. It is not your place to arrest.
So who should? Is it not your money?
Yes, but it's your money. But a debt agreement is a civil agreement. The police have no business getting involved in civil agreements. So
who is the civil personnel that you bring to come and arrest? Because there just has to be an arrest.
Now, when you talk about, okay, now even in trying to do so, like I said, the debtor the creditor now can jeopardize himself.
How?
A smart debtor will sue you for assault.
That's if they know, which right now, thanks to Human Rights Radio, we are giving you that information now to know that no one should bring police to you because you're owing the person.
One of the channels for debt recovery is alternative dispute resolution. Now, this is highly recommended in this kind of transactions because, first of all, by the time you look at the nature of these transactions, you find out that these are done usually between people who already know themselves. Colleagues, relatives, friends, families, associates, partners, one way or the other. You hardly find people giving money or lending money to strangers.
Yeah.
So you see, it's now recommended that in trying to recover this money, if for whatever reason the party has failed to honor the terms of the agreement, the debtor now has failed to honor the terms of agreement, it's important that you try to recover this money in such a way that you don't destroy the relationship. So one of the ways you can do this is by using the alternative methods of dispute resolution. We'll have mediation, negotiation, and of course arbitration. Now, you can do this between yourselves, just the both of you, or where you need a third party to come in, then you can bring in a third party to also try to resolve the issues and create agreements where the debtor can say, okay, yes, give me time, I will pay back after such and such a time and all that. Because if you use the police, the truth is that even if the police detains a man for 10 years, he won't stay inside police detention and bring out your money. So it's counterproductive if you it's apart from the fact that it's illegal, it's counterproductive. Now, secondly, we also have the courts. One of the reasons, apart from every other things that the courts have to do, they also involved in, of course, settling of dispute, determining who has what duty and what obligation as between parties and persons, corporations, governments, and all of that. So it is also within their mandate to also look into this kind of agreements and try to help the creditor recover his money. And they do, in fact, they have special procedures which we call the undefended list in Abuja and Lagos, and then, of course, the summary judgment. These are procedures that have been put to hasten the debt recovery process, especially where the creditor has every ground to believe that the debtor has no reasonable defense. So it kind of hastens the process. Those kind of suits are tailored to be very fast and sharp. Yes, and then finally we have set-off. Sometimes also you have the creditor being in possession of some other, maybe another money, whatever, sometimes an amount of money that is due or that is owned by the debtor. In that case, he can also take this money and then give what is left. That is, if there's anything left. Or
I used to like that. Debtor
can owe the balance or something. So you see, we have all of this. So you now agree with me that, you see, these things actually are not what the police should be doing, don't you?
Well, I choose not to answer that right now. But then I want to use this opportunity to say a big thank you to all those family members and friends that have always reached out to one another, to borrow their money. I don't know, me inclusive, I don't know, but I'm just saying, even though they're not here, they can't even hear me. But then let's not take advantage of it. Because, I mean, family would hardly want to take you to court, right?
Yes,
that's why
they would
some people
want
have
to.
Abused
and
that
many of the
well.
times when matters get to court, it's usually in very in a small amount of cases that the parties remain friends. So the courts are usually very interested in ensuring that, apart from the fact that you get justice, relationships are maintained. So we push you, we encourage you to go and settle it out, alternatively. And where this fails, of course, you can always have the court to go back.
All right, but let's not abuse that window of friendship or family ties and collect money from people, borrow money from people, and not return to them, please. Let's respect that. All right, we have very little time. Let's see if we can get one call. If you have any question, the topic has been debt recovery in Nigeria, and Barrister Uche has done justice to that. If you have questions, you can call 081-8999-1011. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Welcome to Probono Chambers. What's your name?
My name is Zara for the Price Central area.
I did not get your name. What did you say?
Zara.
Zara.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, please. Is that where the network just cut it off? Oh, sorry about that. Hello?
Hello, my sake. Good morning.
Good morning, welcome.
Yeah, good morning to the guests in the studio.
Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah. This is Ruth from Party.
Oh, Ruth, how are you doing? It's been a long time.
It's been a long time. We're trying to get, I don't have your favorite this thing.
Right. Okay.
Thank you, Ashley.
Sorry?
So, contribute on the program.
Okay.
To say at times, when somebody is owing you and you disturb the person through expert, the person can even go to police station and tell them you are after his life. That you are threatening his life. And then just...
Uh-oh. The network just cut that one off as well. But let's see if we can get to hear you. Please stay away from your radio.
Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. Welcome to Probono Chambers.
Yeah, good morning. So I wanted to ask, because I've been on issues since 2015. It was actually a fraud kind of a thing, So now I've tried to ignore the criminal aspect of it. I'm trying to recover the money back from the person. But he has remained adamant. Because all he keeps telling me I should go to court and do what I want to do. Probably he knows I don't have the means of achieving that. So I want to ask your guest there, what does she think I can do right now? It has been long. It's July 2015 and I've done everything I can and not responded.
Do you need a little detail from the stories, or you can?
No. He's already said he wants to recover the money, and he's been on it for over 3 years now. Well, the debtor has even given him an idea of what to do. He should go to court.
Okay.
You haven't done all you can do. There's still one more thing I think you should do, and that is going to court. And I can understand maybe you have fears that it's going to take long being in court and all of that. But like I said, we have the courts have established very speedy procedures through which you can recover your money. So where it is involving the recovery of money or sums or all of that, there are ways you can do that faster. And by the time you get to court, or in fact, your lawyer, speak to a lawyer, and the person I'm sure will know what to do. So you have to go to court because as time goes on, probably by the time you get to 6 years, you might be limited.
Oh, okay. So it's time bound.
Yes.
All right, then. I'm afraid we can't pick any more calls, but thanks to all those who listened in and those that tried to call in. And many thanks as well to our in-house barrister, Uchi, for always being here for us.
Thank you. Of course, I would do anything for you.
Anything, she says. All right, then that's it on Pro Bono Chambers today. And in the next couple of minutes, talking about the 11 o'clock hour, Comfort will be here on Prosumer Forum. So let's get to feel her pulse a little bit on... Okay, I didn't know the barrister is moving as well. Well, okay.
Hello, Ruth.
Good morning, Comfort. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Hope you had an interesting weekend.
I did, and you too?
Yeah, I tried.
All right.
Okay, so Prosumer Forum is next in the 11 o'clock hour. What are we expecting?
Okay, we'll be talking about the issues of household electrical wiring faults. What does the consumer do? Who should he call? Who should he blame? Especially if you're not the owner of the household. You just moved in on rent and then there are faults. What should you do? So that's